Hey guys, it's Vishali here. So this evening Chelsea have beaten Huddersfield 3-1 at John Smith Stadium in what was a completely different performance to the one you saw they put in against West Ham at the London Stadium just a couple of days ago. I was really impressed with how Chelsea started off the game, and they started off, of course, in a very different setup because, of course, Conte decided to switch back to a 3-4-3 for that trip to Huddersfield, because really against West Ham they were poor, they were lacklustre, and they started that game in a 3-5-2 formation. And I felt that against West Ham, it was the kind of showing where in that setup, particularly in the first half, they just didn't have the creativity to breach West Ham's defence and to pull them out of position. But with the 3-4-3 against Huddersfield, it was a very different story. I mean, Marcos Alonso and Victor Moses as the wing backs, they were really stretching play for Chelsea. And they were crossing the ball time and time again, and you saw how big of an impact the crosses into the box proved for Chelsea tonight. Now I want to focus in on Bakayoko, Willian and Hazard in this flow because they were impressive today. Now let me start off with Bakayoko because he scored his second Premier League goal of the season and he's third in all competitions this season with his 23rd minute goal. It was Chelsea's opener. Came from Willian's cross, and you've got to put that into context for him because he's had a bit of a difficult past few weeks. He's basically been in and out of the Chelsea side since inadvertently playing a role in Mohamed Salah's goal for Liverpool at Anfield. Conte has insisted time and time again that he's happy with Bakayoko's performances. He keeps admitting that he can still improve Bakayoko, but he keeps saying, look, he's a young player and he's been playing a lot this season, so we kind of have to think about that aspect. I felt that after Conte took Bakayoko off at half-time against West Ham, and he did say it was because of a tactical switch, I thought Conte showed a lot of faith by having Bakayoko start next to Kante against Huddersfield. And obviously it paid off. I mean, Bakayoko scored the goal and he was just generally impressive against Huddersfield. So that will be a huge plus point for Conte to see that kind of a reaction from Bakayoko tonight. Willian, of course, was another player who impressed, and he's a player who also has had his struggles this season. He doesn't play week in, week out, or rather he doesn't start. He's been pretty much a substitute player this season. And a lot of that is down to the Conte's tactics, because of course in the 3-5-2, Willian doesn't really have a place on that side, but if you have a 3-4-3, it gives Willian the chance to start. But then he's competing with the likes of Pedro on the flank. Now tonight he was superb, as you saw against Karabag in the Champions League when he played in November. Today he got a goal, he got 2 assists, and he was rightly the man of the match. He was absolutely superb. Now he's admitted after the game that he wants to play every single week. I don't think that's going to happen necessarily. It's not going to happen if Conte chooses a 3-5-2, but certainly he continues to show Conte that he's got a lot to offer him should he give him the chance to start. And he's also showing that he's going to work hard and do his best whenever he does play. Hazard, for me, didn't get on the score sheet, but he was another player who was superb. In fact, he was actually applauded off the pitch when he came off as a second half sub by the Huddersfield fans, which shows you just how good he was. Of course, it was his pressing of the ball that resulted in Huddersfield's goalkeeper Lossell actually, giving the ball away, and that ended up in the back of the net for Chelsea's opener. And I think for Hazard today, you saw just what he can do if he plays up front. I mean, Morata was injured, and so Hazard was forced to play up front, but he was superb on and off the ball. And I think in a lot of ways, if you think what that means for Batshuayi, because of course if Morata doesn't play, Conte is now opting to play Hazard instead of Michy Batshuayi, who is his other only recognised striker. So it's not really good news for Batshuayi. He's not really getting game time this season, but it is good news for Chelsea because they've got a lot of players who aren't necessarily starting week in, week out like Bakayoko, Willian, Pedro, but who are putting in the performances whenever they do play. It's a big win for Chelsea. It's a good win for Chelsea, and now they've got a lot of games coming up in the run up to Christmas and just afterwards, and they're going to be looking to go into the new year on a high and trying to close that gap with leaders Manchester City.